So we have started talking about the applications of solar energy, and we started with the most popular application of solar collector, solar thermal collector, and that is for water heating purpose. One such system is for domestic water heating purpose. So the scheme for that was shown, which is now I think very well understood by you. So there is a collector and there is natural circulation of water through the collector, and hot water comes into the tank while cold water goes at the bottom of the collector and rises up as it is heated. Okay. So that was one configuration of domestic type of solar water heater. The other one is water in glass type of configuration. The picture for the same was shown earlier. If you take, like, if you want to show 2D sectional drawing of such a collector, it is shown in the this party of the figure. So this is that double glass evacuated tube. There are multiple such tubes. So they are laid in the direction opposite, I mean, perpendicular to this page. In each tube, the cold water will enter from the tank, and as it is heated, it will move back into the tank, and hot water would rise up while cold water would settle near the bottom of the tank. So that's the scheme for water in glass type of domestic water heater. We had also discussed the industrial water heater, and there was one video where the CPC collector was shown, which was used for water heating purpose up to around 93 degree up to around 90 degrees Celsius temperature. So this diagram gives the it is a line diagram showing the industrial solar water heating system, the typical parts of that, and different instrumentation and controls required in that. So this was also explained in the previous class. Then evacuated tube collector has different designs. So one such design where the heat pipe is used for transmitting the heat is shown here. The way the solar energy is absorbed could be again different in different types of evacuated tube collectors. In this collector, there is an absorber plate which is put inside an single evacuated glass tube. Okay. And as it gets heated, it gives heat to the evaporator portion of the heat pipe, and there the heat pipe fluid evaporates or boils, and it goes into the other side where you have a condenser of the heat pipe which rejects the heat, and this is how the water or the fluid which is to be heated flows just in a straight line, and it passes over the condensers of multiple tubes one by one, and it gets heated. So it passes through just the manifold. So many of the industrial water heating systems use heat pipe based evacuated tube collector, or again, the type of evacuated tube used may be different. This type of evacuated tube uh, is said to be very efficient, but it is still not very popular or common because here there is a metal to glass seal which is vulnerable. So if there is a little bit of damage, then the whole tube needs to be tube needs to be replaced. So it's a costly affair. So the a double glass tube type of evacuated tube collector is more popular, and even in that heat pipe based system, can be used as it is shown in this figure. So the principle of the how heat pipe, with the help of heat pipe we can transmit the heat, has been explained in this figure, part A. The heat pipe fluid gets heated, evaporated and boiled and comes to the condenser part, and it gives away heat when the fluid passes over that. So this is the condenser portion is shown in the figure. So that's here, right? And the evaporator portion is this long tube that is seen here. And you can also see the fin, which is most of the times aluminium fin, a circular shape aluminium fin. And here this assembly is actually inserted into a double glass evacuated tube, which is not shown here, so that you are able to see the inner details. So that fin is in contact with the inner surface of the inner tube, and the outer surface of the inner tube is the absorber, which gets heated, and the heat passes through the inner tube thickness, and it gives heat to this fin, and this fin finally gives it to the heat pipe, evaporator portion of the heat pipe, and it is delivered through this condenser of the heat pipe to the fluid which is flowing through the tube. And it is contained in a rectangular box, which is nothing but manifold, and there can be insulation over this tube also to reduce the heat losses from that portion. So this is also one variety of evacuated tube collector used for water heating purpose. Now let us talk about the application of solar energy for air heating. Okay. So for certain applications, hot air may be required. The applications can be for drying purpose, or it can be for space heating purpose. So space heating means just the opposite of what we call air conditioning or air cooling. So you don't want to reduce the temperature of the room, but rather you want to increase the temperature. So that kind of application arises in winters, particularly in colder climates, high latitude places. So let's say the northern part of India in winter would need space heating. So for that, one may provide the air which is heated with the help of the solar energy. Okay. So you should not have such a question in mind whether in winter and on hilly areas whether enough heating would be available by solar energy, right? Solar energy doesn't depend upon the ambient temperature. Though the ambient temperature may be low, that doesn't mean that good amount of solar energy is not available. If sun is available in the sky, and the sky is clear, then a lot of solar energy may be available, which might be used for heating purposes. Okay, so the space heating is another application of where solar air heater can be used. Now, air and water as fluids are having very different types of characteristics. Their properties are very much different. Particularly, there are two things that we would like to highlight here. One is that the density of water is almost 1,000 times that of air, or specific volume of air is almost 1,000 times that of water. So if you want the same amount of mass flow rate of air and water, air would have much higher volume flow rate as compared to water. So that is one thing which will affect the design of the solar collector. Okay, now you have some idea about the typical water heating solar collectors, the absorber plate and the tube of small diameter attached to that But in case of air heater, you cannot have such a small tube. Such a small passage cannot be provided for air because it's having much higher specific volume. So you need to have bigger size passages. Otherwise, if you try to pass the high volume flow rate of air through small passage, you have to have very high velocities, which will lead to very high pressure drops, which is not affordable. And I think I have been telling that when you are tapping heat energy, it is never a good idea to consume lot of electrical power, right? Because electrical power is high grade energy, and you are trying to tap low grade energy heat. So you should not be wasting much electrical power. It should run with as low as possible nominal electrical power. So you don't want high pressure drops through the passages. So you have to provide wider passages when you want to use air heater. And again, air is also not a good media for heat transfer. Right. So whatever knowledge of heat transfer you have, or you are going to study it in more detail in the third year, you will realize that air is a very poor media for heat transfer, not just from point of view of or conduction heat transfer, but also as a for convective heat transfer, it is a poor media for heat transfer. So you know the basic equation, Newton's law of cooling, or basic equation of convective heat transfer rate, that is Q is equal to HA delta T. Right? Delta T is the temperature difference between the two surfaces or fluid and the surface, and H is the heat transfer coefficient, and A is the area. So higher, like in case of air, you cannot expect high heat transfer coefficients H. So you have to compensate with larger area for heat exchange. So you have to provide large area for heat exchange, and many times such large areas in case of let's say heat exchangers are provided with the help by providing fins. So most of the times fin will be a very common thing which would be seen in air heaters. So of course you cannot say that there is only one single way of addressing these things. There could be multiple ways in which these issues can be addressed. So there could be different possible designs. One such design is shown in illustrated in this figure. So basically it's giving two views of the cut section of the solar air heater. So what you see is A is, you can say it is a sectional front view, and B is, let's say, side view. So you can see the path of air here. You can see the air is entering from top. Means there are two passes of air. Air is entering from here. It is passing through this passage here. It is making a U-turn, and then it is passing below this plate and then coming out from here. What is this plate? This plate is absorber plate, which is shown black in color, and there is a vertical fin attached with the absorber plate. So those vertical fins in the other view are shown here, right? These vertical lines are the fins which are attached with the absorber plate, and the air would pass through the passages, multiple passages which are provided here, right? And the top line that you see is nothing but the glass, right? The top line is glass. So the radiation passes through the glass and it falls on the absorber plate, or part of it may fall on the fins. So that gets heated, absorber plate gets heated, fins get heated, and the air passes over these surfaces, and it picks up heat from those surfaces. So you can see that fins have been provided to increase the surface area for heat transfer between air and the metal surface, right? So, and again, there are two passes of air which are provided. So this is to increase the surface area for heat transfer. So surface area for heat transfer in one pass, and then in the second pass it gets doubled. Again, as you can see, the passages are not very small, right? Somewhat larger passages areas are provided. Cross section area is provided for air to flow. So because the air is having high specific volume, you don't want to go beyond certain velocities, otherwise the pressure drops will be unaffordable. So you want to limit the velocity, and that is the reason why somewhat larger size passages would be provided for air. So generally when you have high velocities, like Reynolds numbers are higher, and you get higher heat transfer coefficient, but there is a limit to it, and again you cannot allow very high pressure drops. So there is a limit to the extent to which you can provide the velocity of air in a given collector, right? So this is one possible way of designing a solar air heater for energy conversion from solar energy, radiative electromagnetic energy to heat energy, and then it is picked up by air in an effective way because of the longer path of the air provided. More area is available with the help of the fins. Now here we are talking about how it might be used for space heating. So when you want to use it for space heating, many times the heating requirement is during night rather than during the daytime. Temperatures are lower in the daytime, and let's say you are talking about some application like a hotel. So during the daytime the occupancy may also be less, and temperatures are somewhat higher, so mainly the heating would be required at the time of night. Now here demand and supply actually doesn't match. The solar energy is available during the daytime, and the requirement for heating is at the night time. So at different places, when you want to use energy, particularly this renewable energy, this challenge exists, that is the demand and supply timings do not match. So in that case you have to go for some kind of storage, and like the storage, there is a cost attached to any kind of storage. So it is advisable if you can use some very economical or cheap media for storage. Again, this is not a very high grade energy. You are not storing electrical energy or chemical energy which can be converted into electrical energy in a battery, right? This is a heat energy, and again the delta T that might be available may not be very high. So you are using some sensible heat storage, and you have found out some economical and locally available material. So that could be a pebble bed storage as it is shown here. Again, because if your delta T is not very high, then you will need again very large volumes or mass of the storage media. So that can be affordable only if you use some locally available low cost material. So that's why a pebble bed storage has been shown here. So it can be a big storage, big pit, and during the day there must be an array of collectors, the solar air heaters, the design could be the one which was shown, and these collectors would receive solar energy, produce heat. The air will be blown through those collectors, and during the daytime, when you don't need like the usage of solar energy is low or nil, at that time you can pass the hot air through the pebble bed storage, where it will heat up the this media, the pebbles, and it will store the heat. Now during the night time, you can pass the air through this pebble bed storage, and then it can be supplied through the ducts into the rooms or places, spaces where there is a need for heating. And most of the times this will be in a closed circuit. For example, let's say the ambient temperature during the night time is say -5 degrees Celsius. Now you want to maintain the room at, let's say, 20 degrees Celsius temperature. So air is blown into this. You may heat it up to, let's say, 40-45 degrees Celsius, and it will be supplied into the room, and there it will offset the heat loss which is occurring from the room, and maintain the room at 20 degrees Celsius. It will again take the air from those rooms which is at around 20 degrees Celsius, and it will pass it through this pebble bed storage. So it's not generally advisable to go for a closed loop, otherwise you will be consuming much higher additional energy in heating. Right, and these three-way dampers are provided so that, like, when you want to keep this passage open, it will pass through the collector, and it will take heat from the collector. If you want to bypass the collector during the night, it will only pass through the pebble bed storage. And there could be circumstances or instances when there isn't enough availability of solar energy. So at that time, you may bypass the whole thing, collector as well as the pebble bed storage, and you may use an auxiliary heating system to increase the temperature of air and then to supply it. This auxiliary heater, of course, it can be electrical heater. Electrical heaters are one of the most convenient ones, but then that is the worst way of heating, right? As you know that in power plants we use the fossil fuels and burn them to produce heat, and then convert it into electrical energy. We transmit it, and then again converting it to heat is not a very good idea. So if and generally whenever it is a centralized heating system, you can employ other types of heat, like fuel. Some locally available biofuel or fossil fuel may be used in a boiler to produce hot water or hot air, hot water most of the times, and then you can use a heat exchanger to produce hot air, and that may be used as an auxiliary supply for air heating when solar energy was not available during the daytime. So this is one possible way of using solar air heaters for space heating application. Okay. So there is one video that I would like to show you. But before that, let us just discuss these diagrams. So basically there are two columns shown. The column on the left hand side shows different possible configurations of water heating collectors, and the columns on the right side show different possible configurations of air heating collectors. In case of water heating collectors, what you find is that the passages passages used for water to flow are much smaller, And what you find in air heating collectors is that the passages are much larger in size, as you can see here, right? Air passage, so it is much larger in size, and this top line, the top thick line is glazing, next line is the absorber plate, and below that also you have created passage, and the air may flow through that. That is one possibility, or one possible configuration. Then sometimes some metal matrix or a wire mesh kind of material also may be used as receiver absorber material, and then and it is porous, so air passes through that media and picks up heat from there. Or at least what one can do is, rather than using a flat plate, if you provide a corrugated sheet, then you are increasing the area for heat transfer. So it may be wiser to use a corrugated sheet rather than using a flat sheet when you are using solar solar air heater. Okay, so here there is an example, like a person is making a solar air heater in his own workshop in his backyard, uh, and he uses this something similar to this corrugated sheet. So let us watch that video.
Hi, have you always wanted to learn to code but don't know where to start? Would you like to make amazing
We're pushing 160 in this collector right now. Unbelievable. Check it out. I think this one is the first. I'm using these drip edge steel slats, just glued down, and then there's an air channel under each one of them. So 7 enclosed air channels, and then I got 6 actually open air channels there for a total of 13. Double speed fan, that's 80 CFM gears. Typically those are about 40 CFM. Even got the little metal pieces there and there to help direct the fan, to help direct the air into the fan. Got the solar panel hooked up right now. That's more than big enough panel for this. That's just a 4-watt fan. That's a 15-watt panel, but that's what I had. That's a 2-watt panel right there. That'll run at half speed or 40 CFM, so even that works pretty good. All right, so what I think I'm going to do first is make the frame. So we'll connect the 4 pieces together to make the rectangular frame. All right, now let's add the back. 10 total. Let's just go ahead and fire through these. Now I'm going to go ahead and tack in some 3/8 inch square dowel to hold up the glass. All right, a quick test of the glass. It's in there perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the channels.
So these holes are passages for air to come in, and an induced draft fan is used. Some of the holes remain below the channel, some of the holes
Sweet.
above the channel.
That's just what I wanted. Now we got the 7 covered channels and the 6 open air channels. All right, now I'm going to glue these all down with the liquid nails, and then we'll go ahead and paint the whole thing the matte black. Couple extra pieces of scrap I had left over. Decided to put them in to kind of angle it more towards the fan. And just to keep the bugs out, I'm going to go ahead and glue a piece of screen on the bottom. If you want, you can secure it down even further with like a little trim piece like this.
जिस खूबसूरती को वरदान समझते हैं मयूरा के लिए क्यों है हमेशा पिंजरा
This thing's cranking. Check that out. Check it out, right at the source, 163. That's your cell. Mid-January, coldest time of the year for us. Holy smokes, that's beautiful. Again, I took the hose off just temporarily. But if you insulate the hose, you should get close to that and shorten it up a little bit. Simple black to red connection on the panel. Right now I've got that panel going. This one though will run it at half speed. That's a 2-watt panel roughly, and that's a 4-watt fan. So you can get 40 CFM out of this with that tiny little monocrystalline panel. But for full speed, go with the slightly bigger panel. Quick shot of the back.
So I think he's a smart and experienced fellow, and has fabricated a very simple looking.
Looking for term insurance? With HDFC Life, click to
Very simple looking air heater, and he could achieve more than 70 degrees Celsius temperature when the ambient was around 7 degrees Celsius. Of course, the airflow rate is something you have to look into, whether the given airflow rate is enough or not. So somewhat bigger size collector as well as bigger size fan may be required to fulfill the requirement or to heat up a room of the given size. But the idea wise as well as concepts of solar air heating, I think were well demonstrated in that video. Yeah. So now let us talk about another application of solar thermal collectors, and that is solar dryer. So here also, in a way, you can say you are producing hot air, which is used to take away moisture from certain product. This product can be an agricultural product, or it can be an industrial product also. So here there are two different ways in which you can use solar energy. One is to produce hot air and then use it for drying purpose, or the product may be directly exposed to the solar radiation also, or there can be combination of these two things, right? So based on that, the dryers can be divided into different categories or varieties. This dryer, if it is used smartly, it can really help the farmers. So later on we'll have a video because the product, when it is dried, the shelf life increases to a great extent and its value also increases. So like it can be economically helpful for them to dry it near the field and then send it to the market at the right time. Okay. So let us talk about different types of solar dryers that one can have. So there are mainly two categories which are shown. One is active dryer and the other is passive dryer. So when you say active dryer, basically you are using a fan, and when you say passive dryer, you are not using a fan. And when you are not using a fan, you still need some some mechanism to allow the air to flow, because fresh air has to come in, has to get heated, and then once it picks up moisture from the product, it has to go out. The moist air has to go out. So in active dryers you are using a fan. So in this first column, the left hand side column, you will always you will see fans in each of them. So here there is a fan which is sucking the air, so induced draft fan is used. Here also there is a fan, so that is a forced draft system which is being used. And here also there is a fan which is taking the air from atmosphere and pushing it into the dryer. So there can be active type of dryer which uses a fan, which will need electrical energy, but then most of the times the electrical energy can come with solar photovoltaic panels, which are now not very costly. So for running a small fan, you can employ the solar energy itself, so that you don't have to take a very long wiring if it is away from your like electrical point. And again, it will become a standalone system, grid independent system. Okay, and then passive dryer doesn't use any type of fan. So generally they use chimney for creating a draft, as you can see in all of these diagrams. Again, each of these categories can have a classification like integral type or direct type. So this integral or direct type uses direct solar radiation for drying the product, right? So direct radiation, so this line is nothing but the glazing or glass, and this vertical line also could be glass. So the radiation directly falls onto the chamber where you are drying the product. Okay, so that is integral type. Here also, so many times there are perforated plates over which you are going to put the product, and because it is perforated, it will allow the air to pass through that. Okay. That chamber, when it is also getting direct solar radiation, it will be called direct type or integral type. But in some schemes, that product will not be directly exposed to solar radiation, right? Sometimes it may not be a good idea to expose it directly to the solar radiation. It may change the quality of the product, or the color may get affected. So because of that, what you are doing is you are keeping it in a closed container, and you are producing hot air, and that hot air, so this is basically an air heater, and then the outlet air coming from that is passed through this chamber where you can have multiple layers of perforated plates, and through over that you have kept the product, and the hot air is passing through that and picking up moisture from that and drying that product. Right, so this is when you have a fan, and this is when you don't have a fan, so you want to produce draft. For producing the draft, you are using this chimney. There is a mixed mode type also possible, where you are like you can say you are preheating the air here in a solar air heater, and then that preheated air is used here for drying, but the product also gets some direct radiation, as well as the air also continuously while it is drying, it is getting heat, because this surface, these faces are transparent. So that is also helping to get heat, and helping the air to maintain its temperature to take away the moisture from the product here. And this is having a fan, so there is no chimney here, but here there is no fan, so a chimney is used for creating the draft of air, additional draft of the air. Okay. There is one more diagram where passive type of solar dryer is used. In a way, it is there already there in that table, but it is the size is somewhat bigger. a separate diagram is shown here, and this doesn't use any electrical power. As you can see, there is a air preheater here. There is a glazing and blackened bottom surface. So air, as it passes through this, gets heated, and then that hot air rises up, and there is a chimney here which is also creating draft, and the air is being sucked and getting heated, and then it passes through these perforated trays or shelves, and the product is put over that. It picks the air, hot air picks up the moisture from the product, dries it, and then comes to the bottom of the chimney and rises up through that and comes out. So here you don't need any electrical energy. Of course, the control of temperature would be difficult when you have a completely passive system. So in that case, it may be a good idea to have a not to use a passive system, but to use a small fan, and there you can control the speed of the fan, and you can control the temperature of the air which is being used. So nowadays, because the solar photovoltaic panels are not very costly, it may be a good idea to have means to have a fan which will positively draw the air into the system or out of the system. Okay. So this is the application of the solar energy for drying purpose, and there is a video in which one researcher is talking about the particular type of solar dryer, its construction details, as well as its application for agricultural drying. I think you'll be able to watch it in the next class. So we can start with that at that point in the next class.